Hey friends, welcome to our Goal Get 'em goal setting series for the next 3 weeks on Sunday. And what we are going to be doing is talking all about how to actually make achievable goals that you are actually going to be able to hit and master, and how you can do this setting forward so that your 2022 year looks bright. There's nothing worse than setting goals that you don't have any intention of actually finishing, because my goal is to help you actually achieve all of the goals that you put your mind to over the next 3 weeks. So if you're ready to talk all things goal setting, stay tuned. For those who don't know me, my name's Rainey, and I am an elementary music teacher and middle school musical theater teacher in Central Florida. I'm also a Teacherpreneur productivity mentor, so I help you master your time and energy while scaling your business so that you can ditch the hustle and grind, break up with busy, and stop sacrificing your mental health. And on this channel, we preach all things productivity and teacher seller tips and tricks, typically for teacher sellers that have a business. If you don't have a business or you're not a teacher seller, then you can still watch these, but they might not apply to you all of the time. But typically, productivity videos are Sunday, and Wednesday is teacher seller tips. And like I said, over the next 3 weeks, we are going to be talking specifically about goal setting in our new and improved Goal Get 'em goal setting series. So for today's video, it's going to be a little bit of tough love. I'm going to break down is what's going to be happening over the next 3 weeks. So today's video is going to be all about why you're not achieving your goals, or why you haven't achieved your goals in the future. And the reason, or in the past. And the reason that I think that's the important thing to address first is because there's so many excuses that can get in our way of not achieving our goals, but a lot of them are actually within our own control. And so I think if we're able to acknowledge the excuses that we've set for ourselves in the past as to why we're not hitting our goals, we won't let that stop us going forward when we're setting our intentions for the next year. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Then next week, I'm going to actually be walking you through my goal setting process, how I actually set my major picture goals for the year. And you're welcome to plan with me during that video. And then our last one is going to be about how to actually keep the motivation and discipline to achieve your goals when you're not feeling like it, and it's like May and it's been 5 months since you set your goals and you realize you're super behind. How do you catch up? How do you continue to discipline yourself to hit your goals? We're going to talk all about that. I will say I have an extra special plan your year, end of year workshop, challenge, whatever you want to call it, coming up in the beginning of December. I'm going to start hitting more details about that. But if you want to be one of the first people to find out all about that and what we're going to be doing and how we're going to be jump starting your teacher seller year, then definitely click on the link underneath this video and you can join my email list, the waiting list, to hear all about my it's teacher seller. I can't remember what I called it. I think I called it like teacher seller reboot or something like that. I don't remember at this exact moment. But if you're interested in that, definitely check it out in the link down below. Without further ado, let's talk about why you're not achieving your goals. And like I said, this video is going to be a little bit of tough love, but I think you can handle it. So just put on your big girl pants and let's get started. Now, I say everything that I'm about to say with love, so don't get upset if, if it sounds really critical and you're like, man, she's cutting it to me hard, because I'm saying these same things to myself because I have had these same issues with not hitting my goals. So anything that I say is not me directly saying it to you like, oh, wow, you are terrible. This is just, it's tough love, and sometimes you need a kick in the pants in order to get you where you're needed to go. So let's start talking about the top 5 reasons that I've noticed and talked to people about when I'm talking to people in the DMs, when I'm talking to people on YouTube, when I'm talking to people just in like my hometown, because a lot of my friends come to me for productivity tips about why you're not achieving your goals. And don't worry, I'm not going to leave you hanging. I will have an action step for you after each one so that you can start moving past that issue and we can start addressing it in the present day. Let's just talk about the elephant in the room for number 1. The number 1 thing that I hear the most, more than anything else, as to why you're not achieving your goals is, I don't have enough time. That is like the age-old question. How do I make more time during the day? 24 hours in the day is not enough. Yada, yada, yada. I can't do this. I can't do that. I can't do this. And I just don't always, I don't know. You know what? I just don't really understand. I just don't, because I do so much stuff. If you know me in real life, or if you don't, you follow me on Instagram and things, then let's just paint the picture really quick. I'm a full-time elementary music and middle school musical theater teacher. So I'm at my school from 7 to 4, Monday through Fridays. And then I also am a circus instructor at an aerial studio, and I teach probably 2 to 3 times a week from like 6 to 8 p.m. in the evenings. And then I also do a bunch of shows. So we have dress rehearsals all the time, and I'm also on the flying trapeze team. And so it takes up a lot of my time. And then I also have this Teacherpreneur productivity business with this YouTube channel. And then I have my Whimsically musical, like creating digital resources for music teachers, and a YouTube channel and an Instagram for all of that as well. And then I'm also a full-time mom to a 2.5-year-old boy who I love to pieces, and I'm a wife. And so I've started doing BookTube. So you know what? I'm doing all these things. And maybe you're like, how are you doing it? Are you not sleeping? Are you not eating? No, I actually still get at least 6 hours of sleep every single night. And I still spend time with my family. I still spend time with my husband. How do I do it all? Through prioritizing. And the things that you are allowing into your schedule, or the things that you are allowing to be a priority in your life, is how you are spending your time. And it's crazy to think about how things just kind of slowly get onto your schedule. Things like, I don't know, watching TikTok for 30 minutes before bed, or scrolling social media every single time that you go to upload like an Instagram photo, you end up staying on for an hour just like looking at other people's, or going on to get creation or inspiration ideas for a YouTube video and then watching like 5 of your favorite YouTubers instead and not actually getting anything accomplished. You may be like, oh, well, I don't do it that often, but then come to think of it, you end up doing it every single day. And so then let's say that you're wanting, I don't know, maybe you want to hit 200 products in your shop, because that's actually one of my goals right now, and I'm at 182, I think. And you'd be like, okay, I want to hit that by December. Yet you're like, I won't have any time to actually work on product creation during the day. And then you sit down and you look at your time management and you go, wow, like I spent 30 minutes on TikTok here, but then I also spent 30 minutes on TikTok here. And then I spent 30 minutes doing YouTube stuff over here, just like mindlessly. And then I spent 30 minutes over here just staring at the wall doing nothing. And then I spent an hour just grazing in the fridge in between this and that. And then you look and suddenly, you're wasting your time very poorly. So the things that you make a priority will actually come to fruition. So I make all of these different parts of my business and parts of my family and personal life, I make it all a priority. It is a priority to spend time with my son and my husband first before anything else. And then it's a priority to make sure that I'm making these YouTube videos, because that is my main content. Like, yeah, if I get to Instagram, great. If I don't, at least I did the YouTube videos. It's a main priority for me to create more products for my Teachers Pay Teachers store, because that's where all my income is primarily coming from right now. And I'm at least hitting solid 4-figure months, or almost again. So it's actually working for me. But all of these things are a priority, and so I make time and put them into my schedule, which if you want to know what my schedule looks like, I will link a video under here, because I shared about 2 or 3 weeks ago how I fit all of my teacher seller business tasks into my daily life. And so be sure to check that video out. But basically, your action step when you say that you don't have enough time is, I need you to reassess 2 things. I want you to reassess your priorities. I want you to write on a piece of paper right now, what are your priorities right now? What are the things that you are like, I actually really need to make time for this? Is it spending time with your husband because you haven't been doing that? Is it exercising because you feel really lethargic lately and feel like you're not giving your body the respect that it deserves? Is it really focusing on your business in this quarter and like actually trying to like make consistent income? Whatever it is, write your priorities down. And then the next thing I want you to do is get rid of one thing that you are currently doing in your life that is not serving any of your priorities. Like, for example, if it is I like to watch an hour of YouTube before I go to bed every night. Just think, if you got rid of that hour every night, you would have 7 extra hours a week, 28 extra hours a month. I don't know how many I should have calculated that beforehand. But just think of how many more hours you could have doing something that's actually moving forward momentum into your goals. So your 2 steps, write down your priorities. And I mean right now, like pause this video, do it, and then come back and then cut out one thing that you could take out of your life for not forever, but try at least for like a month and see how it goes and how you utilize your time. Now, how you utilize that extra time is up to you. I can't help you with that, but hopefully you use it to solve the I don't have enough time issue. Now, the next mistake or next excuse that I see, you can see all the dog hair on my shirt. It is what it is. The next excuse that you can see, or that I see a lot, is I don't know how to do, you fill in the blank. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do that. I don't know what the next step is. Things like that. Now, there's two things about this. One is maybe, let's say your goal is to self-publish a book. And you go, well, I don't actually know once I've written the book, like what to do next. Or you go, I don't really know how to write a book. And you're just kind of stuck. Well, two things. One, you need to map it out, but you can't really map out all the steps until you know how to do it. And do you know what's there to help you through thick and thin when you don't know what to do? Google. Google is your best friend. Before the internet, yeah, how are you going to find stuff out? You'd have to go to the library, look in an encyclopedia and all that. But we don't have dial-up anymore. You don't have, like, that was the worst thing of life, dial-up, when you couldn't use the phone because you were on the computer. We don't have that issue anymore. And if you're watching this, you don't have that issue anymore. So use Google. How do you think I learned how to do most of the things? I actually learned how to make products starting on Teachers Pay Teachers before I even knew about any courses. I started by watching videos on YouTube. How did I start to figure out all of my productivity tips and tricks? I researched the science and like the evolution of productivity. How did I learn all of these things? Through Google. How does anybody learn anything? Through Google. There are tons of authors that have learned how to write books through Google. There's my friend that learned how to make a planner company through Google. I learned how to make stickers on my Cricut that I could start selling in my Etsy shop through Google and YouTube. So when people say, I don't know how to do X, Y, and Z, my question is, are you researching it at all? Have you looked it up? Are you asking a friend who like happens to know? Like there's people on Instagram in all sorts of businesses, like you probably could find someone that has the knowledge and then maybe pay them if you can't find the information on Google, but Google is there for a reason. So when you say, I don't know how to do X, Y, and Z, my first question is, did you look it up on Google? And if you say no, or, well, I looked for like 5 minutes and then gave up, sometimes you really have to dig. There was a time where, let's say, for example, I was in college and I went to school for oboe and I didn't have an oboe. I borrowed my band director's like oboe in his school for the 4 years I was in high school. And then when I got to college, I didn't have an oboe. And my mom's like, you're an oboe major and we don't have an oboe for you. This is a problem. But oboes are not cheap. And my mom researched for hours on end until she found this woman called the Oboe Fairy, I kid you not, that would send you high quality oboes that had some issue with them that she fixed. They were way cheaper than they should have been. And she would send you 5 quality oboes and you would get to test all of them out and then mail back the ones you didn't want and then purchase the one you wanted. And I got a Luray oboe, which a Luray is the best brand of oboe. It's typically like $12,000 and up, and I got it for $4,500. And it is in my closet right now, and it's from like the 1930s, and it's a French Luray oboe, and it's beautiful and wonderful and magical, but we didn't know how I was going to get an oboe. I mean, finances were part of that, but also like we didn't know like, oh, well, what brand should you get? And like, you know, all sorts of things. And so we researched through Google and got me an oboe. And I love it to pieces, and I should play it more now that I'm talking about it. Google is helpful. So your action step after this, if you're saying, I don't know how to do X, Y, and Z, is go research it on Google or YouTube or podcast episodes. I promise you will find it, but take the time to do so. All right, the next one is probably the biggest reason, and this one people aren't necessarily saying, but it's just why I think you're not achieving your goals, and it's because you don't have any systems in place to hit them. Because goals are all about systems. If you've never read the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, I'm going to need you to stop and go buy that on Amazon. In fact, I'll even link a link underneath here for you to buy it. And yes, it's an affiliate link, so just throwing that out there. Anyway, all right. Atomic Habits was written by James Clear, and one of his most popular quotes that's mentioned like all throughout the time that people say all of the time, everywhere that I hear it, is you do not rise to the level of the goals. Instead, you fall to the level of your systems. And so what he means by that is a goal is just like a desired outcome or a desired effect or something that you want to achieve. The system is the process and like the steps, basically the journey and how you're going to do that. So let's say, for example, that your goal is to hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. That is your goal up here. That is your end goal. But how are you going to get there? And what is mapping it out is your systems. And your system is basically comprised of little habits or skills or steps, as you would take it, that are going to slowly get you up that mountain. And the problem that I see with so many people is that they have the goal. You dream big, you know what your goal is, but you don't necessarily, and maybe you map out the steps that you need to take in order to get there, but if you don't have the habits in place to do it, it doesn't really matter. It would be like knowing that your goal is every Sunday is to have a clean household. And you know, okay, so that means I have to clean the living room, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do this. but you don't have habits that have set you up well to keep it clean. Like maybe you haven't been working on actually putting stuff back after you use it. And that's the biggest reason that your house is a mess, because you leave this over here and your clothes over here and this over here. And so your house is always a mess because you're not actually putting habits in place that support that goal. Habits are probably one of the biggest things of all that you need to have. But once you have your solid habits and your routine you can turn that into a system, and that system repeated over time is going to help you achieve that goal so much more. It's really important that you're setting systems and habits in order to help you achieve your goals. Now, for example, one of my biggest goals, let's say for right now, is to hit 200 products on TPT. Why? Because I know that that'll help me hit a bigger, numerical goal of like money in my TPT store. So, what I need to do that? I know that the steps I need to take is I need to create more products, and I need to market those products so that they actually make money, and I need to create content so that those people are actually finding my products, because I can't just rely on people searching it into Google or into TPT, even though most of the time my products show up on the first page, but that's because I know how to utilize SEO. But I also have to research SEO. So I know how to do all those things. How am I going to create a habit out of that? Well, for one, in my Teacher Seller Business Tasks video that I mentioned earlier, I mentioned that I spend at least an hour a day on product creation. I prioritize that right now because I'm trying to just build up my store as much as I can so that can be passive income for me. And then with me marketing it and creating content, that'll help fuel that store. So I'm making that a priority, and I'm building that into my system. Then within that hour, I have specific things that I'm working on, specific habits that I do. Like certain days is when I batch create a bunch of thumbnails and cover images for my products. And then another day is where I batch write the descriptions and batch upload them so that I'm uploading a bunch of products in my store at once. But I have these little habits and routines that I've set up within this major system that are helping me slowly, repeatedly over time hit that goal. Because, for example, I was at 100 products probably 3 months ago, and I'm almost at 200 now. Why? Because I have those habits and systems set in place from back then. So if you don't have consistent habits that are helping you reach to your goals, or a consistent system, what I want you to do right now is I want you to write down a major goal that you want to accomplish in 2022. And then I want you to write out kind of the milestones, if you will, of what it would take to have you get there. So let's say that it is the 1,000 subscribers on YouTube thing, and you're at 200 right now. Well, maybe your next milestone is to get to 500, and then to 750, and then to 1,000. Now, not all of that is in your control, but there's a lot that you can control when it comes to that. So then you're going to map out, what are you going to do? Well, maybe you're going to post 2 videos a week, and you're going to be very strategic in what you're posting. Maybe you're going to post about or share an IGTV once a week on your stories about your YouTube videos so that people get more to it. Maybe you're going to share a link in your stories to your YouTube. Maybe you're going to do more collaborations with people on podcasts and stuff to get your YouTube channel out there. So you're going to mark down the steps. Then you have to start thinking about what daily and weekly and monthly actionable habits can you build to help create that system. Because it would be like if you were writing a book and you go, okay, well, I know I need to write, but I just don't want to do it. Or I know I need to do this, but I just don't want to do it. If you don't actually set the habits out to help you be able to accomplish it, even when you're not motivated, it's not going to happen. So take some time, map out the milestones to get you to the goal, and then think about some small actionable habits that you can implement to start taking action today. Another major reason that I see that people don't achieve their goals is because you have way too many goals. Now, it's great to have goals. It's great to have dreams. It's great to know what you're aspiring for, but are you trying to hit all of these things right now? Or can we break it down into quarterly goals? So I will say for me, I used to plan yearly goals, and then I decided that too much happens within a year to actually continue to do that consistently. So now I make quarterly goals. But I limit myself to 3 quarterly goals so that essentially I could probably focus on 1 goal per month, but I have the 3 months overall to work on it. So I know if you're I have a lot of goals, that's fine. But are they long-term or are they short-term? Because you can have long-term goals. I have long-term goals. I have a long-term goal of being able to buy a house and not have to live in our trailer, even though our trailer is doing us well right now, but I want to move. I have a long goal of doing that. I have a long-term goal of becoming a stay-at-home mom through my Teachers Pay Teachers business, which I know is going to be very soon. I can feel it. I'm doing a lot better. So I have those long-term goals, but what are short-term ones for right now? Like I mentioned, I'm trying to hit 200 products in my store by the end of December, and I'm at 182. I know I can totally do that. I just have to make one more product line and like a couple individual products. So that's a short-term goal I have. Another short-term goal I have is to get to 500 subscribers on my Whimsically Musical channel, because then you get the community tab. And I want to be able to speak to my audience more, because I feel like that's a better way for me to connect with them. So I have these smaller goals. And I don't have like a billion. I don't have, oh, I need to do this, and then I need to do that, and then I need to do this, and I also want to do this. Because the more goals that you set for yourself, the less time you're going to have to work on all of them, and then the less quality that you're going to give to all of them. Now, I know if you've seen my YouTube or my Plan With Me one for the month, you're like, oh, you have like 10 goals. Okay, well, they're not all like giant goals, and most of them are actually centered into 3 categories. I had my personal one, which is about all my book reading goals and like all of that. And then I have my business goals, which is like for like Timely Teacherpreneur. And then I have my business goals for Whimsically Musical. And all of those little things fit into one of those more major goals. So you can have a bunch of like mini goals that are like, oh, I need to create this product, but your overarching goal is I want to have 10 more products in my store by the end of December. That's totally fine. But we need to try not to have too many goals, because once you have too many, you're not going to have the time to be able to finish them all, and then you're just going to get down on yourself. So your action step for this one is to currently look at the goals that you have set for yourself for whatever quarter you're in or whatever year, like however you set goals. And if you don't have goals, that's okay. We'll get to goal setting actually in the next video. But if you have goals right now, I want you to look at them and go, how many of them are you actually focusing on or want to focus on right now? And which ones can you save and put aside for a later date? Last reason though we're going to talk about as to why you're not accomplishing or achieving your goals is because you're afraid of failure, but you're also afraid of success, which I just don't understand. So a lot of the times, you know, maybe you set a major goal for yourself. Like for me, I definitely, let's just keep going with the 1,000 subscribers one. Like I want to have 1,000 YouTube subscribers. Why? For multiple reasons. One, I'll already have the community page. 2, I'll feel like my YouTube is actually taking off, even though like 1,000 is not that many in the grand scheme of how many subscribers you can have. But I don't know, that just feels really good to me. 3, you get to be monetized on YouTube. Although I know that I'm not going to make a lot of money having 1,000 subscribers being monetized. That's not why I'm doing it. The main reason I do this YouTube is to build the value in like what I'm providing, so that people want to actually like buy my offers and stuff when I have them, because they trust like the value that I'm providing. But that's a big goal that I have. Now, I could be afraid of failing and never getting to that, and then just never even trying. Like there was a point, and there is a point sometimes on this channel particularly, where I feel like it's just never going to happen, because this one has been a lot more slow growing than my Whimsically Musical one. I started them both basically at the same time, and that one has like double the followers, and this one is just slow growing. But I know what I'm doing here is important, that people care about what I'm doing, so I'm going to keep going. But I could have allowed myself to psych myself out and say, oh, you're never going to make it. I also could be afraid of having the success, because what if I get to 1,000 subscribers? What if then people start saying, oh, you're a fraud? And then, you know, that imposter syndrome kicks in and I go, oh my gosh, I have 1,000 people listening to what I have to say. Maybe I'm not providing enough quality value for them. Or, oh, that means that I'm going to have to start adding 3 YouTube videos a week, and I just can't do that. And then, you know, you start psyching yourself out about opportunities that have not even happened yet if you were to succeed, which, if you were to succeed, you should be freaking proud of yourself for succeeding, not getting in your own way of like, oh, well, what happens once I get there? Then it's going to be like all stressful and things. I shouldn't be stressful trying to get to the goal that you've set out for yourself. So the biggest issue with this is that you need to not let imposter syndrome kick in for both things. So failure is going to happen. Failure is inevitable, but you're not going to get any better if you don't fail first. Do you know how many times I've made YouTube videos before, or like started to film stuff before, and then it was just a flop? And like when you first start out on YouTube, for example, like those YouTubes have like no views at all, and I watch them now and I cringe and go, wow, like that was like not ideal, even though that only started in January, which has almost been a year, which blows my mind. But anyway, you're going to fail, but failures help you find more success in what you're doing. If I hadn't failed in like different strategies for how to plan content and things, then I wouldn't have hit the way that I plan content now, which is actually really effective for me. If I hadn't, you know, kept trying to like get my thumbnails to be better, then they wouldn't look better than they had when I first started out. If I didn't keep practicing recording videos for YouTube, then I would still be that awkward person that goes, all the time and never knows what to say. And now I feel like I'm just talking to another person on the other side of the table. Like, you're drinking coffee, we're listening, we're chatting, and like things are fine. I'm not afraid of talking in front of the camera. And if you don't practice these things, then yeah, it's going to be scary when you fail, but fear of failure does not need to hinder you from hitting your goals. Same with fear of success. So if you're currently psyching yourself out over a goal that you haven't even hit yet, and like the what ifs of what's going to happen once you hit that goal, you're just setting yourself up from failure from the get-go. So just be excited about the journey, because it's all about the progress and the journey to getting to the goal. Don't only focus on the results. So what I want you to do and take action for in this one is I want you to actually write down your fears about failing in this goal. Like, what would happen? What would be the worst thing to happen if you didn't hit this goal? And I want you to write all of that out. And then I want you to write out all of the worst things that could happen if you were to hit this goal, and write all of it out. And then what you're going to do is you're going to crumple it up into a little ball and you're going to throw it away, because those fears do not need to exist. You don't need to worry about them. You just need to be focusing on the present and the now, and how you are going to kick butt in all of the goals that you have set for yourself. And we're not going to let fear of failure or fear of success dictate you or derail you from accomplishing your goals. Now, I hope that all of these actionable tips were helpful for you. I know I shot a little bit of tough love today, but I am also dishing that tough love right back out to myself, because I have struggled and still struggle with many of those same exact things as you. So I want you to just take those action steps and start trying to slowly implement them as you're continuing in your goal setting journey, because a goal setting is a never-ending process. And if you take anything out of this video, it's to start creating sustainable habits and systems for yourselves to reach your goals. And don't worry, we're going to be talking about that a lot more in next week's video, when we talk more about how I actually map out all of my goals. Now, you've seen like my plan with me monthly ones, but I'm talking about how to map out like those major piece goals, like basically my major purpose goals, and like how I'm going to break those down from there. And then pretty soon we're going to be able to do it with my brand new Cultivate Your Year Planner. It's a goal planner and it is beautiful, and I cannot wait to actually like use this bad boy in the new year. Like, it's just beautiful. So anyway, I'm actually going to be doing a video soon where I compare several different planners, and we're going to talk about what I love about each of them, because if you don't know, I'm kind of planner obsessed. You probably knew that, didn't you? But anyway, I hope you liked this video. I hope it was helpful in our first video in our Goal Get 'em series. Definitely stay tuned for next week when we stick back into how I break down goals themselves. And then the next one when we talk about how to actually push through when you don't have motivation or you need to be more disciplined in your goal setting. As for this Wednesday, I believe we are talking all about how to create SOPs in your business, the standard operating procedures, like how to actually start mapping them out. Last week we talked about how to create systems for your business, but then we need to talk about actually building out the SOPs, or the actual like step-by-step process, so that you can build systems in your teacher seller business. So with that, I will see you guys in Wednesday's video. Bye guys.